Hello, welcome to the Comedy of Brexit. My name's Mike Cashman, and if you find these videos interesting or useful, please subscribe to the channel. Ask me to talk at your meetings. So what about the Comedy of Brexit? Now, this is not going to be a series of stand-up jokes like an Englishman, an Irishman, a Scotsman, or in a bar. The Englishman says, we all have to go now. The others say, why? The Englishman says, because I've had enough. No, I'm not going to attempt to tell a whole series of jokes. I want to talk about the humour of Brexit at a rather deeper level. And the thing is, we've tried logic, rigour, expertise. That didn't work. Some people have tried insulting the other side. This happens on both sides. I don't agree with that for two reasons. Firstly, I don't think it's fair in either case to generalise about those who support the other side. And secondly, I don't think it's effective. I don't think anybody got persuaded by abuse. So if logic doesn't seem to work, if we reject anger and insult, what about humour? Now, there's some inherent humour in the Brexit process, and by that I don't mean that it isn't tragic. You know, you have to laugh or you cry. But I have come up with some humorous characters. I didn't think this completely through beforehand, but that illustrate the humour of Brexit now in different ways. So, for example, there is Lord Tory, who's a member of the aristocracy. Doesn't entirely understand completely what's going on, but his butler, Simpkins, can be quite helpful. And so he latches on to things such as Lord David Frost started an investigation to try and discover what Brexit is for. And that will be really useful, you see, because that may help us to achieve whatever it was supposed to achieve. So that's Lord Tory. Then there's Mr. Curtis Lee Smug, who is, by the sound of it, a member of the government and ready to talk on behalf of the Prime Minister. Sometimes does get things a little bit confused, and thinks that our target at the moment is 100,000 cases of coronavirus per day. I'm sure we can work towards that. And there's also the Professor, who is in a far forward time, looking back at the time of P2, the second year of the pandemic era, in Tusk, the United Smaller Kingdom, as we now know it, and trying to understand the apparently pointless actions of the populace influenced by Toryman, who was interbreeding with Homo sapiens at that time, generally on office premises in the afternoon. So I've been, with the help of these characters, looking at the humour of Brexit, the comedy of Brexit, over the course of the last year, and actually over the course of the last 5 years, with songs such as Brexitean Fantasy that went exactly through that process of we moved from logic to saying, apparently, with this takeoff of Bohemian Rhapsody, nothing really matters except sovereignty. And the trouble is, on this YouTube channel, lots of people from the EU comment, as well as from the UK, and one message that's come over loud and clear, I put out a video with a message of the EU hasn't accepted Brexit, or the title of that, the real message being the EU has, it's the British government that hasn't. And loud and clear came two messages from loads and loads of people in the EU. Number one, we've moved on, we've forgotten about Brexit, we're not interested anymore, you sort yourselves out. Well, all meant in a kindly way, by the way. It wasn't in any way resentful, it was just, you know, for your information. And the other one was, Britain's become the laughingstock of the world. That's what has happened, or that's what I can certainly highlight aspects of. You know, we may have been the trapeze performers on the high wire, earning respect from everybody else. But if you get off the trapeze, if you put on the clown costume, the clown boots, the clown makeup, and start doing clown things, then people will take you as the clowns. Look, Tories, if you didn't want to be taken as the clowns, if you didn't want people to laugh at you, why did you elect a clown as your leader with the clown hair and the clown clothes and the clown statements that are, we know it's wrong, we know it's the exact opposite of what you've just said, but hey, as long as you're a clown, you're allowed to get away with it. The Brexit process itself, and I've continued to lampoon it in song, bridge over doubled borders, how do you solve a problem like our Brexit, try a yellow hammer around the whole country. If a government is being rigorous, following due diligence, doing everything right, there is no humour in that. People wouldn't laugh at it. The stuff that I've put out on this channel, people don't laugh at it and watch in their hundreds or thousands or sometimes tens of thousands. They don't do that just because it's arguing for a particular political viewpoint. If I'm trying to be funny and some things are more successful than others, if it's not particularly funny, it doesn't get a lot of following. But some of them do, and that's because it's funny. As I say, a total due diligence government doing everything right, that isn't funny. Spitting Image tried to make something funny of the John Major government. I'm not saying I supported it, but tried to make it funny by saying he was a grey, featureless person. And it sort of worked, but it wasn't the best joke. It wasn't clearly the most memorable character. And so Zena Wigram, who sang in Brexit Musical Trick, the full Brexit musical, she sang Terraline, the Prime Minister, Laundrette Leadsom, who challenged her, Arlene, and many other characters, actually. The Queen as well. So Zena sang all these parts. We did a cast interview for Brexit Musical Trick, and Zena spoke of the layers of meaning, the layers of humour that we were uncovering. Lovely tax breaks. Tax evaders like to hide the facts as the apparently innocent Terraline is degraded further and further as she's dragged into the murky world of tax evasion. Before Boris Falboris, who's resolved his question of whether to lie or not, eventually is carried in, apparently mute and lifeless, but carried in as the new leader. Anyway, that's Brexit's Musical Trick. I'll try and put a link to that cast interview, actually, if you want to hear a little bit more about it. But in the Brexit process itself, all the clown things are being done. The very points that Boris Johnson insisted on within the deal are the points that he's objecting to. We left the European Union, supposedly, to get away from unelected bureaucrats. Dominic Cummings told us, the man who, by his own declaration, was responsible for some of the major decisions of the UK government, and also, by his declaration, recently, says that it's ludicrous that Boris Johnson was Prime Minister and that Dominic Cummings was the advisor. Well, you can't get much more clowny than that. Or can you? And so, we come to the end of the Brexit Comedy Part 1. There will now be a short intermission while you search for the link for Part 2. Please supply your own popcorn. While you're doing that, let me just recommend our satirical books, Brexit's a Trick Not a Treat, Brexit's a Musical Trick, full Brexit musical with every major tune from Les Miserables, and I don't beg pardon, I'm talking bollocks from the Rose Garden. The latter two are available on CD, and so we have I Don't Beg Pardon there, and Brexit's Musical Trick, full Brexit musical, wonderful singers, Leon Berger from English National Opera, Zena Wigram, John Asher of Tiswas and Let's Twist Again fame, and you can get both of the albums in USB version. A little pouch there with and some bonus tracks on those. So subscribe to the channel, but I hope you can also find the link to the Brexit Comedy Part 2.